Good morning, friends. This is Chandra from Akul Mac Technologies, and I graciously invite you to our show about skills gap that exist in India. And today we have very eminent personality on our show to discuss about this particular aspect. That is Mr. Neville Gaunt. Neville had a long career in FTSE 250 companies at both strategic and operational levels. His corporate and commercial finance background is gained over 30 years in international businesses, mainly in the oil and gas industry, dealing with large and small businesses and complex supply chains. He has accomplished track record of negotiating the business means of short and long-term commercial, political, and environmental forces that influence all decisions. Neville Gaunt is also well-known international keynote speaker and a co-author of a bestseller book called Is Your Mind Fit for Goals? The Missing Link to Your Success. Go and read this book. Good morning, Neville.
Good morning, CK. How are you doing?
I'm good. Welcome to TopBrass.
Thank you very much. Looking forward for a good discussion this morning.
Absolutely, and we will discuss about the negotiation skills, specifically for the small, medium enterprises and startups. But before we start today, I would like to make an announcement, which is that for the benefit of our viewers in India or in Asia Pac or also in Africa, Neville has agreed graciously to host a workshop, which is a 2-hour workshop, and it will be conducted using a state-of-the-art virtual office concept so that people can join from anywhere. They can participate in group discussions. And at the end of this particular session, everyone who ever participate will go back with his own elevator pitch. So this is a very concise, compact program designed for chief executives of SMEs and startups. So please do join in good numbers and take benefit of this facility. So having made this announcement, Neville, I think my viewers would like to know, what it takes to have a good negotiations, or what I feel so far is that many times people think, hey, I put my product out, I tell them the price, and that's it, and then I will negotiate maybe 10% discount, 20% discount. That is what the negotiation is all about. So I would like to hear from you what actually this you know negotiation skill is.
Well, isn't it an interesting subject, because we all just again assume we can negotiate, and half the problem is we don't know how to. We don't know how to compromise, but we do, because we've done it all of our lives. So already we've talked about having the right attitude, being able to communicate, and these are fundamental parts of being able to negotiate, being self-motivated, know what your organisation skills are going to help you, because when you're talking to someone, you need to be able to organise everything you've prepared in your brain so you can negotiate the best deal. And it's all about a win-win, because these are never one-offs. Once you've got a customer, as you know, to get a customer takes quite a long time, is very expensive. And once you've taken all that time to convince that customer, ideally you'd like to keep them, so they keep coming back for more and more and more. At least you've made a friend for life. But keeping that customer isn't as easy as people might think it is, because you've got to keep going back to them and keep offering them, this is what we've got new, this is what's changed. Would you like the same again? Because some people are just very happy to have the same again. You go to I don't know about you, but I get my hair cut every 6 weeks. I go back to the same barber. As long as I'm in the same country, I'm back to the same barber, because there's familiarity. I know what they do, and as far as I'm concerned, they don't do a bad job. So, and I'm very pleased with it. So you go back for that service, don't you? I can see you nodding away, so there's a bit of engagement going on here. So let's look at what negotiation really is. So I'm going to put, like we do all the time, Chandra, I'm going to put you straight back on the spot. When it comes to negotiation, what things come to mind that you have to think about? Not the technical parts of what you do, but the soft skill parts of what you do.
Well, I do it the way I have learned it in my career. So it may be different from what others may be doing in their offices and in their work. But let me explain what I do. And I use the technology to the fullest for my negotiations. What I do is I set up my social media accounts linked to my calendar, and that way I would like to know more about the person whom I'm meeting, his likes, his dislikes, how do I position myself, what is his pain points, and so on and so forth. So in my case, I focus on what solution I bring which solves his immediate pain point. And then I don't have to really negotiate too much on the pricing part. So if I can offer, like for example, you mentioned the case of the barber. Now, if you go to the same barber and if you're in London, then you don't have to explain anything to him because he's fixing your pain point. This is exactly what I try to do. I don't spend too much time in explaining technical stuff. I rather focus on the solution which will solve his immediate issue. So that is the way I do it. But I know this is not the holistic way. There are much more deeper science around this negotiation, which obviously I would like to hear from you.
Well, the point is over time, you've built up a process that works for you. And what everybody needs to do is to create the process that works for them. I use the example of a barber because it's easy. It's a pretty straightforward service. You get your hair cut. But I want to come out of there feeling great. And if I don't come out of having had a service provided, feeling great, guess what? I might not go back. So although they've just got the barber shop, and I like to go to a Turkish barber shop. It's got the typical swirly, red and white sign that goes round, very sort of old school, 1940s, 50s, but you can see it on the high street, you know exactly where it is. My wife goes to the same high street. She goes to a salon. She goes regularly to the same place. She knows what she's paying. She knows what the price is. She's very happy. When she comes out, she wants to feel $1 million. And if she doesn't feel $1 million, well, then she might not necessarily go back. So when you were talking about what you do, again, you more or less covered what we did in our third session, organisation skills. You used your organisation capability, you did your research, you found out about the other individual, you mentioned this thing called pain point, which when you're running a business, you know your own pain points, mostly, but do you know the other person's pain point? Because if you don't know what their problem really is, how are you going to solve it? So this phrase that we talk about in negotiation skills, and by the way, you can go on a negotiation skills course that lasts weeks.
Right.
But the thing is, what you need to do is go and practice. And you can practice on anybody. You can practice on your children. Because let me tell you now, your children will know how to negotiate staying up late, how to spend longer on the computer before dinner's ready, how to eke out that last minute talking to their friends before you have to get them in the car to go to school. So this is a skill, it's an art form that we can all develop in anything we're doing. And the thing is, any practice makes permanent. The right practice makes perfect. So going back to what you said about earlier about how to pitch your business, I mean, in many respects, you shouldn't be pitching at all. You should be having a discussion. I would call it having a chat. Because again, the more you know about the other individual's problem, the easier it is for you to solve it. And what I find across the globe is that everyone's got this, beautifully written marketing document, and they say, here you go, this is what we do. You don't want to read that. Not when you've got an opportunity to talk to them. They want to hear about you. Why do you do this? Price rarely comes into the conversation, although everyone will say, know what your pricing structure is. Of course you should. But don't blast it out, We do red, white and blue colours, and you can have them in small, medium and large, and here's the price. Did that sound interesting?
Well, I will share my small experiences with you. Lately, what has happened is the customers or the client who buys, who has a need to buy, is also getting very bored with the price negotiation. And if some vendor calls a client, the first thing the client asks, hey, what is your price? So they are not giving opportunity for any negotiation which is related to price in today's world. So if vendor says, hey, this is my price, okay, end of story. They will say this is too expensive, we can't afford it, bye bye. So this is what is happening in a lot of cases, not every case, but a lot of cases. And on the other side, what I see is the software companies or even the chief executives of startups don't seem to understand this psychology, and they focus too much on the pricing rather than having set clienteles. Find what is the segment that they want to basically serve, so that they don't have they don't open their doors to 100,000 clients, so that 90% will fizzle out in the end. So I think the art of negotiation has to be taught by someone. And I think that people have a lot of confusions about negotiations at the first level. But running an organization at the second level is also a big confusion today.
Yep. You're absolutely right. And the interesting thing is, the first negotiation is the one you have with yourself. And that goes back to our very first discussion about the right attitude. So when we have the phrase people buy from people, which we will discuss on that webinar, we forget that people buy from people that they know and trust. So part of that equation is building up that relationship with the other person.
Right.
You rarely go into an opportunity where it literally is, here's the price list, this is what we do, sign. I don't think I've ever been in that negotiation, even when I was 4 or 5, trying to ask my parents, oh, can I watch this TV program before dinner? It's a negotiation. There's a precursor to negotiation. You have to think about what you're doing. And I'm sure people have heard of the 3 Ps, the 5 Ps, and the 7 Ps of marketing. I mean, it just gets more complicated, really, as you move through, but they're all Ps. And if you've read any of this, you'll heard about its price, product, positioning, placement, and all this sort of stuff. But fundamentally, what's your problem? Where's my proposition? And where's the proof it works? And if you can work that through and on a regular basis, your organization will be seen in a far better way because you know what you're doing, you're explaining it simply, so you definitely understand what you do, and you know that it's solving my problem. And being honest, it may not solve the whole problem, but it solves enough of the problem to take it away. And this is where that rucksack of solutions that people take along, leave it on the ground. There's a great company in the UK that basically sell boxes. It's a telecom company, and it's a grey box or a blue box. And the grey box has got half the capability of the blue box. But depending on what the client is saying in front of the person that's selling the grey box and the blue box, the salesperson keeps the grey box and the blue box down behind them. And sometimes sells the more expensive box because the customer wants the more expensive box. Not that they'll ever use that capability, but that's what, if you like, good salespeople do. They've made the customer happy, despite the fact they've paid twice as much as they could have paid if it had been a simple matrix. So I'm not saying that's right, and I'm not saying it's wrong, okay? But if you're going into a negotiation, you need to be prepared to listen to what the other person is saying. You need to be not the politician. A politician never answers the question that's being asked. What you need to do, the number one in the negotiation skill, is listen to what the person's saying and answer their question. Don't give them more, don't give them less. Answer their question and then say, is there anything else I can help you solve? So you're constantly negotiating back with the other person and getting them to think. And the more they think, the more they're going to like you. And it's as simple as that. And I can see you're nodding away there because you know it happens all the time. You know when someone is saying to you, I've got a real problem, can you help me fix it? It's pretty rare you're going to get that conversation. But you can make that conversation happen if you're listening to their problem. Because you can then relate other problems. You've got clients that have got exactly the same problem, but they explain it differently. And they're in different sectors. But you can say to them, actually, this person over here had a very similar problem to you, different sector, and this is what they did. And it just shows that you've got much more to offer. And that's the key. In the Me Too world of supply, you need to break it away from Me Too and be something different. So sorry, I was cutting you off there because I was trying to make that point.
Right. So what I wanted to inform you that, certain things like this are, there is general awareness around it. People read a lot of books, like you mentioned, triple Ps. So that creates additional amount of confusion in people's mind. I'll tell you how. For example, here we're talking about identifying client's pain point. Now, if the person is not experienced, he will go and say, hey, can you tell me your pain points? Why client should share his pain point with somebody who just come and met him for the first time? So I think there is a whole lot of confusion in how to, carry on the conversation and then also negotiate on the side. So I think, your inputs would be very, very important and vital. And I really feel that people join this program that we have launched for India and also surrounding neighboring countries, which is how to make a pitch specifically designed for leaders and young entrepreneurs. And you will basically tell using the cyber office concept, where it will be a all will participate online, and there will be a whiteboarding, and in the end everyone will come out with lot of information and lot of knowledge which will down percolate down from you to the participant. So I look forward people joining in great number, which is on March 14th at 3 p.m. India time.
No, I look forward to it. And just to make it simple for everybody, you're seeing two people on the screen here when you're looking at this video. This excellent technology is allowing to have 15 or 16 people on the same screen. So it's just, we call it a round table because it is a round table. It will be completely in-house. We won't be sharing it with anybody else, and it's only going to be relevant to the people on the screen. We will see you in all of your finery. You will see me more or less as I currently am. But the point is, it will be interactive. And that's why we call it a round table. You will get so much out of that discussion that in 2 hours, you will probably cover 2 weeks of a workshop, because we're going to make you think. We're going to make you think hard, and you can bring your own notebook and you can write as many notes as you like. And the main thing is you go away with a better attitude about your business, completely understanding why you are so special. Get you out of that me too arena.
Absolutely.
And that's where every SME really needs to be. The bottom line is, most of us are not offering anything different from anybody else. The only thing different we're offering is ourselves. And going back to negotiation skills, that's the most important, because when you leave people at the end of a negotiation, both need to go away with, yes, we got a great result. And if we can do that, it'll be a happier world.
I think people who will join the program on the elevator pitch that we are launching on 14th March in India, I think there will be a lot of takeaway for our participants. They will really enjoy talking to you, and they will also know exactly what things they are doing wrong, what things they are doing right, and how to modify their approach for better results. So as usual, we have limited time, Neville. It is
Absolutely.
so wonderful talking to you, and it's always my pleasure to have you on the show, discuss too many aspects of business. And I'm sure when I say too many, they are not too many at all, because these are like 15 minutes videos. There is a whole ocean with you, which you bring as an experience. So hopefully a lot of people will join our workshop on 14th of March, and we will take this forward from there.
Fantastic. Nice speaking with you, PK, and have a good day, everybody.
Yes, thank you. And we will catch up same time next week.
Look forward to it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.